I've been noticing a lot lately that on social media sites that there are several guns that are always recommended for women by women, and we have 3 of those, and I wanted to look at those and give you my impressions so that if you're in the market and asking this question or thinking about buying a gun for your significant other and it falls into those parameters, you have an idea or an impression from me about the pros and cons. Of the many that I see recommended, we have the 3 of them. We have the Shield, it's a performance center. We have the Sig P365 in the SAS model, and we also have the Hellcat. All 3 very popular, commonly named weapons that are suggested and recommended for women. Gonna look at those, and then I also want to look at some alternatives to those because there are options. So first we'll look at the P365 SAS version, and what that is an anti-snag. There's no sight system, if I could talk today, to get snagged up on your clothes. There's no slide release to get snagged anywhere, so that makes it really concealable, and it fits well in my hand. Let's put some rounds through it and see how it feels in the hand as it shoots. Now, we've covered this sight system before in other videos. This is a defensive sight system where you're supposed to just be able to aim and hit. What I can tell you is that as I look at that ABC zone, I'm having to aim lower than what I would normally aim with a traditional sight system. So for me, that's a negative for this gun. It's not traditional, it's not familiar, and something that I've been trained with. So if this was my only option, I would have to train with it a lot. Pros, it fits well. I could put it anywhere if I wanted to. The magazine release is easy and functional. The recoil is manageable. This would not be my option for a carry gun simply because the sight system is so different that I was not able to, I hit the target, but I wasn't able to hit it as in a smaller group as I would like to.
So this is the sighting system on the SAS. You can see they call it a bullseye system. There's a green dot and a green ring, and when that dot is centered in the ring, camera may not want to focus on it well for us today, then you're on target. The challenge is that rather than focusing on a front sight post as you traditionally would with your target being obscured behind you, everything is on one focal point back here, and that just takes some getting used to. There's also a bit of play trying to center a dot within a ring, and it works well at close distances. What Tia was just attempting is a little over 20 yards at a reduced size torso, which can prove challenging. The point is, this sight system is different and you would need to learn it. Not all 365s have this. Some people like this for that flush anti-snag feature, but it is different and something to be aware of.
Next we'll look at the Hellcat. One thing to note about why these are commonly recommended to women is that they have a larger magazine capacity than most smaller concealed carry options. This one has 10 rounds. Some others go up to, I think, 13. So first impressions in my hand, very comfortable, very easy to hold, to conceal, obviously because of its size. That slide release is a little difficult. Let me shoot downrange a little bit and I'll tell you how it feels after that. Something about this Hellcat that is different is the sight system. The front sight post is a ball and the back is like a smiley face that you line up. Makes for a different experience but one that's more traditional. And is effective. I don't think that I could shoot accurately with it if I was to be, you know, shooting for accuracy, but defensively it did well, obviously. What I noted is that the recoil caused it to bite into my hand a little bit here. But that being said, it still did very well, and I'm still confident if I had to carry this, that I would be confident in my shooting skills, I should say. So after putting some rounds through it, experiencing the slide a little bit and the different sight systems and things, I can see why this would be recommended for women. The only thing I would say is don't just buy it sight unseen, try it for yourself, because what I've experienced is other guns of similar size are not as pleasant to shoot. They are harder to work. They hurt your hand a lot more. The recoil is felt a lot more. And I'm not a tiny woman, so while this is recommended often for women, especially because you know, we have a smaller stature, I would say obviously you're going to want to try it first. So next we're going to look at the Performance Center M&P Shield in 9mm. First thing I notice is that it's very similar in size to the last two, to the Hellcat and the Sig 365, but there's not as much magazine capacity, and I can use that slide release, but it is a little bit more difficult. This has the fiber optic sights on it because it's for Performance Center. And that was 5 rounds. That does not feel good to shoot. And the recoil was not as manageable for me. The texturing is aggressive. The trigger pull is a little bit different, and I think that's because this has the safety feature dingus on it. So it's a lot different. And the sights are meant to be quick acquisition and things like that, but they're kind of distracting because you have the 2 different colors. Maybe I would just need more practice with it. So yeah, this is a great option for some. It's equally concealable, I think, as the other two, maybe a little bit longer. It's not as comfortable to shoot, and the stippling here does not make it as comfortable to handle. I can't imagine what that might feel like rubbing against your skin all day if you didn't have a holster or wore, you know, an undershirt to protect you from that. Yeah, overall this is not my favorite out of the 3.
So just some notes on Tia's mention of recoil. Here's the Shield and the Hellcat side by side, and one of the things that you get with thickness, the Hellcat being thicker, sort of a stack and a half, and double stack guns are typically even thicker, is more surface area to distribute that recoil. So the fatter guns tend to feel softer shooting, even though these 2 guns have virtually the same length slide and we're firing the same caliber. So the thicker gun is more comfortable to shoot typically. That also, however, makes it a little more difficult to conceal than a single stack.
What I'll say about something that's a thicker gun like this is that if it's too thick in a smaller hand, while it may be comfortable to shoot, you may not be able to hold on to it as long as those rounds continue to recoil. So let's look at some options. Walther's PPS. Looking at it, it's a lot more stylized to me. It fits well in my hand. This is a single stack, but you get 8 rounds. Functions easily. It fits well. It's a little bit bigger, but I feel like it's still just as concealable because it's not as wide. How does it feel to shoot? I don't know how to describe that. I could feel the recoil, but it's not, there's no pain involved in it. It's stout, but it's appropriate for the gun. I don't know, I really don't know how to describe that to you. It's reassuring. The sights are easy to see. They're very traditional, 3 white dots. Front sight post, 2 rear sight post, or 2 dots on the rear sight post. And I think that this is a great option because that it's in the same price point as the others. But so why is this an option? For me, it's because that it's comfortable. It's so comfortable. It's so well balanced in the hand, even as it shoots. I think that's what I was having a hard time describing, is that the balance of the gun makes the recoil so manageable. The sight system is easy to use. It's very traditional. Any instructor is going to be able to instruct you on these, whereas if you take a different sight system that was seen in one of the others, they might not know exactly how to help you correct your sight picture. The other thing about this that makes it a great option in my mind is the price point is very similar to the others, maybe a little less than some, maybe a little more than others. And I don't know why I don't see this recommended to women shooters more often, because it really should be. So another option is the Mossberg MC1. I've liked this from the first time that we shot it. It's really easy for me to use, and even though it's got a shorter slide, the spring does not work against you, and the serrations here help in that momentum, so you could practice with this all the time and not get tired of it, whereas other guns, you might get tired of practicing and learn to not enjoy them as much as you may have in the past. This gun also features or has an external safety feature. This is not something that we've seen on the other most recommended options, as well as the last gun. So I thought that that was something that made this worth considering as an option. Let's see how it feels in the hand. Sights are traditional. It does have a bit more kick. So what I noticed shooting was that the trigger snuck up on me once. However, I was still on target. So that tells me that this is a great gun, in that I'm not going to lose my sight picture, or so far that I'm not going to be able to get back on it and throw it around negligently. That is a huge concern of me, where recoil is concerned and where triggers can sometimes sneak up on you. They work just a little too well than what you're trained for. So that made this a safe option for me, and as well as a very concealable, comfortable option for women concealed carry. So another option that we chose to show you is the XDE. And the reasons that this one stuck out in my mind, and that I felt it was important, is because when I was shopping for my concealed carry gun, all the extra safety functions or external safety functions that are available here, like the decocker and the manual safety, let me decock that for you. So you can see the slide is easy for me to run. Super easy. Easy for me to drop. I can decock it and then also put it on safety. I didn't consider these options when I was purchasing my concealed gun because they were confusing to me, and I thought that would make me more of a liability as I struggled to do that. However, having had a concealed carry gun with license for a while now, I'm coming to regret that option. This does put it into a double action on your first shot, double action only for the first shot. But I want to see how it feels. It does give you a longer trigger pull for the first one, but to me that's another safety feature. You have to be certain that you're going to pull that trigger. The reset is nice. The recoil is very manageable despite missing. It has a red fiber optic point on the front in traditional rear sights, which made finding my target really easy and easy to stay on it, almost like a red dot might. This gun fits in my hand. It's only a little bit bigger than those compact ones were, and because it is a single stack, I feel like this is just as concealable and holds just as many rounds as the Shield does. It's much more pleasant to shoot. It's much more pleasant to operate. I like this. And this is a great option for women. I just would caution not to get scared of all these extra features and practice.
So Graham here with some more insight. To explain the single action, double action, first off, you can see that we have a cleared gun here. Your striker fire gun is the same trigger pull every time and very simple every time. With a hammer fired gun that is single action, double action, you have the option to decock, lowering that hammer. You saw it move the trigger forward, so you do have a longer reach, as Tia mentioned, and this is a longer, heavier pull for that first shot. That, in effect, can be a safety. You can also, however, with this gun, put it on safe and just have a dead trigger altogether. A lot of people like to have decocked so that you don't have to worry about messing with the safety when you take it in action, but you still have that length and weight of that first shot to make sure it's not going to be an accident. Every shot thereafter is going to have the hammer back automatically for a short, light, and crisp pull. Another advantage is, let's say you had old or dirty ammo or the gun got wet or something and that round didn't go off, you can pull again and give that round a second shot, second chance to fire, if you will. Not always a preferred tactic, however, when you have just a single stack and limited capacity, why rack and waste the round when there's a pretty good chance that pulling again will set it off? It just requires a little more training. This is a slightly more advanced mode of operation, if you will, and that's, as Tia said, what deterred her in the beginning, but as you get training, things like this make a lot more sense in the end.
So I hope that this has given you some insight on things that you may or may not have thought to consider or may want to consider in the future. And if you have any questions about any of these or any of the other guns that you may have seen us shoot or that Graham has reviewed, go ahead and leave a comment below and we'll answer those appropriately. Thank you for watching.